The real reason Americans vote. It's your personal economy. Every election season, politicians suddenly become economists. They talk about GDP, inflation rates, job creation, and trade deficits. They pull out charts, arguing why the economy is booming or failing, depending on which party is speaking. But there's a huge problem. Most Americans don't live their lives on a government spreadsheet. They don't track GDP data or the CPI Index. They live at the grocery store. They live at the gas pump. They live with that mortgage payment coming out of their checking account and the credit card bill landing in their mailbox. They live it every time their child asks, "Can we afford that?" Back in 1992, campaign strategist James Carville famously reminded everyone, "It's the economy, stupid." More than 3 decades later, that famous line needs an update. It's not the economy, stupid. It's your personal economy that matters. And we're seeing this become the undeniable #1 issue in elections. When Americans walk into the voting booth, they aren't carrying the latest GDP report. They are carrying 365 days of financial experience. They are asking, can I afford groceries? Can I afford my house? Will my kids ever afford a home? Is my paycheck keeping up with my bills? Can I afford health insurance? Can I fill up my car without wondering if I should have bought a bicycle? These personal questions ultimately matter more politically than any economic statistic Washington can produce. Here's the disconnect politicians often miss. The economy can look great on paper while your personal economy feels terrible. The stock market might hit records, but that doesn't help when your rent just went up $200 a month. Unemployment can look low, but that offers no comfort if you're worried about losing your job. Inflation might be cooling, but cooling inflation doesn't mean prices went down. It means they are just rising more slowly. Try explaining that distinction to someone staring at a $250 grocery bill. This is where politicians on both sides make a huge mistake. You don't get to tell people how their wallet feels. You can tell Americans inflation is improving. You can tell them wages are growing. You can tell them the stock market is booming. You can put an economist on television with charts explaining why everyone should feel better. But if a family has $200 less at the end of every month, their personal economy isn't improving. And that truly is all that matters to voters. If a first-time homebuyer can't afford a starter home, their personal economy isn't working. If filling the family SUV, buying groceries, and paying the electric bill takes a bigger bite out of the paycheck, no government statistic will convince that family they are financially thriving. Their bank account already told them the truth. Housing is a prime example for many young Americans. The question isn't about negotiating a quarter point off their mortgage rate. It's whether homeownership is becoming financially impossible altogether. I have 3 kids in their 20s, all with good jobs, wondering how they'll ever afford their first home. That's their personal economy. Then there's gasoline. Politicians can debate the reasons for rising gas prices: war, oil markets, geopolitics. The person standing at pump number 7 doesn't care about the political PowerPoint. They see the number spinning on the tank. $40, 60, 80. That number is the economy to them. What do their eyes tell them? This is why, heading into election season, politicians should be very careful about telling Americans how good or bad the economy is. Both sides will cherry-pick statistics, but voters will perform a much simpler calculation. Am I financially better off right now than I was 2 years ago? Do I have more breathing room? Can my paycheck buy more or less? Do I feel like I'm getting ahead or falling behind? That's the economic report card that ultimately matters. Elections are fought over many important issues, but money has a funny way of cutting through the political noise. You can turn off a campaign commercial. You can scroll past a political argument. You can even ignore Washington entirely. But you can't ignore your mortgage payment. You can't unsubscribe from the grocery store. And eventually, you have to fill up the car. Carville was onto something in 1992, but in today's world, we change the message. It's not the economy, stupid. It's your personal economy that matters most. And Washington would be wise to remember one simple rule: you don't get to tell Americans how their wallet feels.